Daily Broadside to 832. I just had breakfast at a restaurant, and it occurred to me that I don't care about jelly. People always say, you want toast? Sure. Yeah, you want jelly? Sure. Because it's like a dessert at the end of the breakfast, right? And they're always like, well, what kind of jelly? And I'm like, I don't care. I don't think there's a bad. I mean, yeah, you could give me some orange marmalade with the zest in it, and I'm not Paddington Bear. I'm not really into that, but for the most part, whatever. I mean, there's only like four choices really, and all of them are delectable because jelly is, typically speaking, with the exception of perhaps the marmalade, just always good. It's kind of like yogurt. I mean, there's really no bad yogurt. Black cherry is my favorite. But let's talk about basketball for a bit. I've been a Duke fan since my father turned me on to them in the late 80s when Danny Ferry was killing it in his junior and senior year back in the Danny Manning, Kansas Jayhawk days and all that. And I fell into it in a good part of my life because a couple years later, Leitner comes to town and they win back-to-back titles and all that. And I've nary missed a game since then. I just love them. I got into college basketball hardcore, and although I really long for the days of yore when the ACC was actually comprised of people on the Atlantic coast, but I'm not a fan of these 32 teams they've got in the league now. And they're talking about combining them with the SEC. College basketball, money just ruins everything. It really does. And don't get me started on the NIL. But I'll say this, I think that Duke obviously has the best chance of winning a national title again this year, even though there are three other teams, one of which we've already beat, that have just as good a chance. The best part about it is, other than Florida, I could do without Florida winning a third title, but it'd be cool to see the other two win their first title. So if Duke loses, at least something cool happens. It's not Connecticut or Kentucky or Kansas or Carolina, the teams that I just don't like for myriad reasons. But this team is so unique, man, and I've said it since his first year. I think John Shire is already a better bench coach than Coach K ever was. He plays deeper, which I've always said is, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, it's one of the things Carolina does. They'll play 18 people. Coach K would always, if you weren't practicing well that week, you just didn't play. And you got to get people out of slumps. You got to get people in the routine of playing, They got to have game time. And this team has been assembled. It's so unlike a Duke team just from a size perspective. I mean, they're the tallest in the country, which is unusual for them. They might have one big and everybody else is just 6'4", 6'5" wing and all, but they start people at 6'6" and up for their starting lineup. And it's just a phenomenal team, and you can tell that they just really coalesce well and they play together because they're all buddies and friends and they share the ball and nobody has to score 40. Nobody's ego seems to get in the way, and that's what makes a true championship team. It doesn't hurt that they've got 4 or 5, maybe 6 people that will eventually be in the NBA, not to mention Cooper Flagg, who obviously is the far and away number one draft pick selection for everybody and for everybody's money. But that kid, man, one of my favorite players is Andre Karolinko, and he reminds me a lot of him. Just a little bit of do everything. The only thing I think that might not translate well to the league, especially if they play him at the 4 some, which I don't see that happening. He's more of a 3. You could even play him at the 2. He's athletic and quick enough to guard a 2, and definitely long enough. But he's got to put some weight on. You're going to get bodied a lot more in the league. Those dudes are way stronger men, and he needs to put on like 20 pounds, but the potential that guy's got is just, it's been said over and over again, but it's amazing. His basketball acumen to be 17, just newly 18 years old just a couple months ago, and to be able to play with such headiness, and his mental game is just so there, right? The way he sees the floor and the way he gets everybody involved. I mean, you love a guy that can give you 25, 30 points and still give you 7 assists. I mean, that and rebound and steal. I mean, he just does it all. It's just really cool. Got that Scottie Pippen kind of feel to him. Probably not as good of a ball handler, but defensively, I think he could be up there with Pippen. And then you got Khan, got that Wally Zerbiak type of body. And I relate everybody to like the 90s and 2000s because that's kind of when I watched NBA basketball mostly. I don't know as many of the players anymore because I stopped watching it a while back, but so I don't really know who to compare him to. But you've just got some assassins on that team, and it's so exciting to watch people not hate Duke as much because it's kind of annoying. Why? One of my sons is a diehard Duke fan, the other one's a Carolina fan because his mom went to Carolina and she's gotten in his head. And we've made fun of him all season. We keep telling him, come to the dark side. It's just so much more fun over here. And he won't do it. So he wears those stupid, silly light blue clothes all the time and everything. But nevertheless, it's interesting watching people not hate Duke as much as they normally would because they're just such a likable, fun team to watch. If you like basketball, you love watching this team play because they play like a team. It's not just a couple stars surrounded by role players. It's everybody getting involved. Everybody locks down on defense. Their defensive and offensive efficiency are at the top of the entire college game, which is unheard of. We pride ourselves on one or the other every year, and we've got both this year. I mean, it's a perfect soup for winning a sixth title, which is awesome. It's very exciting. I wish my dad was still around to see this season because he would have loved this, But like I said, it's very fun to watch and see people not hate as much. And although there's still some haters, and that's fine, there always will be. I hate Kentucky. It's the same thing, right? I don't think you could put a team together that would make me like Kentucky. But it's cool to watch, and it's difficult to dislike Shire. I think he has already set a trajectory in 3 years that he will go down as one of the best coaches in 20 years if he keeps at this level. He's just got everything mapped out. He studies the game and studies leadership and studies the fact of the things that you need to make a team successful, and that's just brilliant. He was, and he's no slouch himself. He'll be one of four coaches that will have won a title as a player and a coach, and even less if you include the same school, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty dang neat. So I think with his basketball IQ and the things that he brings to the table and the tribulations that he's been through, both, as a high school, just rock star, did a lot of stuff at Duke, won ACC titles, won, a national title, and then went to the league, got his eye poked out and couldn't play, but did some stuff in Europe, whatever. But just a really heady player. That's the kind of thing that you need in a coach, somebody that you can look to. I mean, Coach K played, but he's a 6'2" guard for Army. It's not the same as being somebody that led Duke to a national title. So the leadership is already there, and he's such a good bench coach already. And cusses like a sailor, just like Coach K. So, the apple doesn't fall far from the coaching tree, I suppose. But it's going to be an exciting weekend. There's going to be some great games on. If Duke does anything like they did to Alabama, it's just lights out and game over. I don't care what Houston brings to the table. It's going to be a difficult match for them because, their defense is great and all, but we're going to see what happens on the other end of the floor. Y'all have a good one and a giddy.